Good morning, everybody. It is great to be here. If you're anything like me, you're usually only up this early to have a fight with your mailman. Hey, where's my package? My name is Owen Hinchy. As I said, I'm founder and CEO of Tynes. We provide an automation platform that allows companies like MongoDB, Databricks, Auth0, CrowdStrike, and many others automate the repetitive security workflows. We're a very product-focused company, and so rather than spend a bunch of time today boring you guys with PowerPoint presentations and so on, what we're going to do is spend as much time as possible actually in the product. And we're going to build a real live demo of the platform showing how you can automate your AWS workflows quickly, easy, and at a massive scale. And in doing so, together, we're going to do two things. Right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to show just how easy it is for anyone, regardless of their technical background, to dramatically increase the security posture of their AWS deployments. And two, we're going to dispel the myth that you should never do a live demo before you've had coffee. OK. So before we get into the demo, I want to start with like a bit of an inconvenient truth. So I spent 15 years as a security practitioner before I founded Tynes. And I think the reality is that a lot of the products that you see around you here, a lot of the tools that we're conditioned to think we need for security, we don't actually need. Right? You can have a dramatic improvement in your AWS posture by just using the AWS tools that come as part of your subscription, like GuardDuty and CloudTrail and so on. And so what we're going to do is we're going to show how you can use those tools to automate those workflows with Tynes. When we founded the company, one of the core tenets we wanted to do was demonstrate that you do not just need to use AWS, right? You can use absolutely any tool in your stack to automate Tynes. So Tynes is completely agnostic. We don't care what platform you have. We don't care what tools you're using. We have a bunch of customers who are using Tynes to automate their workflows in AWS using common use cases like this. So enriching AWS alerts, automatically fetching data from DynamoDB, receiving SNS configuration, querying CloudTrail, and enriching all this data to make more accurate decisions using Tynes. As I said, I don't want to spend a bunch of time talking about the platform, but I want to show you guys how it works. So if I could switch my laptop to my laptop, please. Could I have my, there we go, thank you so much. So this is Tynes. This page that you see in front of you here is what we call the storyboard. And this is where our customers spend 80, 90% of their time. This is where you build your automated workflows in Tynes. Tynes is incredibly simple, right? It's really, really easy to use. Our core innovation and what truly sets us apart from other automation platforms is the concept that any process that you want to automate can be automated using just a handful of primitives, a handful of building blocks. Right? So everything that you build in Tynes, regardless of whether it's something that contains 2 steps or something that contains 2,000 steps, will always be automated using just these handful of primitives. What that means is that once you know how to configure these 6 things, you're essentially as effective as a senior software engineer. Right? So that's all you need. You don't have to worry about deployment. You don't have to worry about monitoring. You don't have to worry about scalability, credential management. We take care of all those hard problems for you. And so in about 3 hours, which is what it takes to configure these, to learn how to configure these 6 things, you essentially have all the knowledge you will ever need to automate any process. And I know that's a ridiculously bold statement, but as we kind of delve into this a little bit more, you'll see how it's possible. So the way Tynes works, super simple. If you've ever used a tool like OmniGraffle or Visio or something like that, you'll pick this up really, really quickly. So what you do is you decide which of these 7 building blocks or 6 building blocks are best suited to automate your workflow. And then you just begin to drag and drop them onto the storyboard. So you might say, OK, I want to connect that. And then you'll drag a HTTP request action on. And you'll connect these together. And you might want to start making some decisions. And you'll drag more trigger actions on to make additional decisions, and you'll connect these guys, and so on and so forth. The most critical thing about Tynes is that you do not need to be an engineer to get value from this platform. Right? I think one of the great mistakes that we have made as a security industry is convincing our security analysts that they need to know how to code Python or Bash or PowerShell in order to be successful in security, right? It's a real kind of mistake that we have made. And so with Tines, to configure these actions, you do not need to be an engineer, right? All you need to know is the basic understanding of how these guys work and how the configuration is configured to make it successful. If you are an engineer, if you are a developer, if you have existing scripts in your stack that you want to use, great. But again, you do not need to be a developer to get value from this platform. Okay, so let's quickly talk about how you might use this tool for AWS. So let's say you have multiple different AWS accounts and you've got guard duty turned on these accounts. And you want to enrich these alerts in some way, shape, or form. So the alerts that you're getting from guard duty are related to like a suspicious IP address, but that alert is lacking significant context for your security team to actually do something meaningful with it. They want to understand, where this IP address has been seen from threat intelligence sources. They want to understand if tickets have been created in the past related to this IP address. They want to know what the passive DNS for this IP address is. All that context is stored in different tools elsewhere in your stack. And so your choice is either to pump all these guard duty alerts into your SIM and create tickets from that in like Jira or ServiceNow, and then have your analysts go and manually find out all that information so that they can then say, okay, this alert is a true positive, I need to take some sort of remediation action, or I can totally ignore this alert because it's a false positive, or we've seen it before and it's actually not that big a deal. So what you would do in that case is you might want to understand what instance is related to the guard duty alert. So you might want to say, okay, well, I've got this instance tag, but I've no idea what account it's in. I've no idea what the IP address associated with, and I don't know who spun it up, et cetera, et cetera. So that data then is stored in your AWS CloudTrail logs. And so if you've got CloudTrail turned on and you've got guard duty turned on, you've got most of the information that you need to kind of like take a big step. The challenge is that it's super time consuming for an analyst to go and investigate every single guard duty alert, right? It's an absolutely extraordinarily noisy source of data. And so what we want to do is we want to enrich this in an automated way in order to quickly understand, yeah, I need to take action, or no, I don't. And so what we're doing with Tines in this very first step is we're going to receive those guard duty alerts via like a webhook action. So again, one of the 6 basic primitives that we have inside the product. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to we're going to make a decision and understand if this detection involves an instance, right? So if it doesn't involve an instance, we're going to ignore it for whatever reason for this demo. If it does involve an instance, we'll say, okay, we'll pass it to the next step. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some CloudTrail enrichment. And what we're going to do for that is we're going to do a little bit here, and we're going to say, okay, this is the API request that we need to make to CloudTrail. Here's the event name we're going to use. Here's the start time. Here's the end time. And so we're going to get the CloudTrail events associated with this guard duty alert. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well, there could be 100 different CloudTrail alerts around that time, or CloudTrail events around that time. So we're going to break them into individual events so we can treat every single one uniquely. Once we have the instances found, we're going to do some filters, and we're going to make decisions on whether the alert is related to a network connection or a DNS request. The most powerful thing about Tines is you do not have to do this if this is not the way you want to perform this action. So Tines is designed to work the way you want to do it. We're really opinionated about being unopinionated about how you use this product. So if you want to say, you know what, actually, I don't want to create a Jira ticket, I want to create a ServiceNow ticket, that's totally fine. Or if you want to do something like when an instance isn't found, you want to go and update your asset management, or create a different ticket, or ping someone on Slack, you can do all that. Once we have the network connection and DNS request, the next things we're going to do is we're going to start enriching these. Right? So we want to dramatically reduce the amount of time that A, an analyst is going to spend investigating these alerts, but B, we also want to ensure that the tickets that we create have all the context that an analyst needs to make a decision. So we want to have information on the IP address from a bunch of different sources, and we want to have additional information on the domain from a bunch of different sources as well. Once we have all that, we'll go and create our tickets. Okay. So let's kick off one of these alerts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a mock DNS request with a benign domain. I'm going to send a network request with a benign domain, and these are the exact kind of alerts that you would get in guard duty, right? So if you look here, this is a legitimate guard duty alert. We're just going to mock it using Tines. So let's start off with a benign domain. So I'll press run. And what we'll see is these guys immediately begin to emit events, right? So if I zoom in here, you'll see there's a little badge here that shows the amount of times these actions have run. We can view these events by clicking on the action, going events, and we can see exactly what Tines has received. So here, this is the alert that we have received from guard duty, right? So this is the information that we have. We've got the account ID, we've got the partition, we've got the region this was in, all the information that we would expect to see from guard duty, right? But again, that information is not that valuable to us without context from all these other tools in our stack, either AWS tools or Jira, JupyterOne, CrowdStrike, whatever the other tools that we want to use. But this is the event that Tines receives. We then make a decision, okay, this alert that we receive from guard duty does contain an instance. So this guy then emits an event. The next thing we do is we enrich this by saying, okay, given that guard duty alert, now give me all the CloudTrail logs associated with that guard duty alert around that time. And so we can view what that event looked like by clicking here and clicking on the event. And we'll see a couple of really interesting things here, right? First thing we'll see is that sure enough, this action has done its job, right? So we've found all the CloudTrail alerts associated with that guard duty event at that time. Again, not that valuable in isolation, but as we continue to collect more context, we're going to be able to dramatically, reduce the amount of time we're spending investigating this, but also we're going to increase the accuracy of the decisions that we're going to make, okay? So then first thing we'll notice is that when these actions run, they are responsible for doing a small piece of work. In this case, get the CloudTrail alerts. When they run, they're just going to do their small job, right? Get the CloudTrail alerts. That's it. That's my job done. What they're going to do then is they're going to emit an event saying, I've done my job, here's the CloudTrail alert. But what you'll see is that the event that this action has emitted actually contains a ton of stuff, right? So we've got the guard duty detection. We've got the detection saying that it was or the event saying that it was a instance, and we've got the CloudTrail alert. And this is a really, really important piece of information because it's exactly how Tines works. So every single time an action runs in Tines, it's going to emit an event that contains, one, the result of its action, its small piece of the puzzle. But that's also then going to contain all the information up to that point in the workflow. So here we've got 3 pieces of information. But if I go further down here to create Jira ticket, we'll see that in a really short space of time, Tines is collecting all this really, really valuable context and is making it available to every action in the story. So why is this important? Well, essentially it means that Tines is snowballing all this data for you. Right? And you have then got access to it in order to make high context, high confidence decisions. So if you wanted to say, hey, I actually want to enrich this with more information from my case management system or my DevOps tool or my CI/CD pipeline, you can do that really, really quickly. So you can say, okay, well, look, after I determine that the instance is found, I want to go and search Lacework, or I want to go and search Sneak, or something like that. All you have to do is go here and say Lacework, file the template, whatever it is, and say, okay, well, for this instance, I want to include as part of my workflow, I want to get the compliance report as JSON in Lacework. So all I'd have to do is drag this onto the storyboard, drop it in, and connect it wherever I want to do this action and enrich that context. And then every single action, every single event, every single guard duty alert is also going to contain that context as well. Okay, couple of more things I want to show you before I finish up here. one of the most important things that we do in Tynes is we act as the arms and legs of your security program, right? So your team have so many tools. The average security team today has access to 77 tools. We've got customers with access to over 150 security tools, right? There is no way that you have the time, the energy, or the bandwidth to investigate an alert across all the relevant tools. So what we do in Tynes is we make it super, super simple for you to collect data from a bunch of those systems in one fell swoop. And we do that with a system that we call Centastory. And so here, you can imagine that guard duty isn't the only workflow in your program that's going to require you to enrich context on a domain, right? You might have that from threat intelligence feeds. You might have it from, I don't know, cert alerts or whatever it is. And so if I click on this, we're just doing enrich a domain. But if I view what's happening under the hood in that action, I'll see that what we're actually doing is we're taking data from one place and we're scanning it in URL scan, we're looking at in virus total, and we're working at it in URL house as well. And you could add things like recorded future in here. You could add risk IQ. You could add any amount of systems that you wanted and include that as a sub workflow within Tynes. Extraordinarily powerful tool, and our customers get a lot of value from it. Final thing then is, once we have all this information, what are we actually going to do with it? Well, you can do two things, right? You can actually go and automate remediation in Tynes. So you can say, okay, I feel confident that based on the alert that I received and all the context that I've collected across my program, that this is malicious. And I want Tynes to go and take remediation action. And that remediation action can be something as simple as, if I search for AWS, something as simple as, change the security group on an S3 bucket so it's not public. Everybody's favorite thing. Or it could be something like attach a AWS deny all policy. Or it could be to add MFA to a device. Whatever the remediation that you actually want to do, you can power that automatically through Tynes. The other thing that you may want to do is you might want to go and create tickets for other teams, right? As we all know, the security team isn't always the people with the keys to go and do the remediation. So you can then go and you can say, okay, well, I want to create a Jira ticket in my DevOps team's project or my TechOps team's Jira or ServiceNow project. You might also want to do something super simple and say, you know what, I just want to send the information to Slack. And so what you would do is you would say, okay, after I create the Jira ticket, I want to go and send the alert to Slack. So I'll drop this action in here, and I'll connect it up. And now, anytime this action runs and I get a guard duty alert, I'm going to enrich all the information that I've received with all this different context right across my security program, and I'm going to put it front and center on my analyst plate. So whether they live in Slack, ServiceNow, Jira, whatever, they're going to have access to that information. And so that's Tynes. Super, super simple, really easy to use. You do not need to be an engineer. We're laser focused on workflow, and we work with any tool that has an API. So it doesn't matter if you want to use Jira, ServiceNow, CrowdStrike, Sneak, Lacework, Sysdig. Tynes works with it out of the box in this really, really simple way. You will see me walking around. Our booth is just over here, a few meters behind you. You'll find lots of friendly Tynes people wearing pink shirts. Come say hi, ask us questions, and thank you so much for coming before breakfast.